So there's an actual conversation going on in regards to One Piece and what it could mean for the world of fiction, right? So I think as of right now, one Oda has surpassed a lot of famous writers in sales. He is now a top 10 highest selling author in history. He is above the person who created Harry Potter. He's above the person R.L. Stein. He's above Stephen King.
Dang.
And there's a legitimate conversation when it comes to Oda and One Piece that I saw someone make this take. And me and Miles actually talked about it. If it wasn't perceived as a manga, why can't this be one of the greatest pieces of fiction that has ever existed? Why can't it be the next Odyssey, for example, of literature,
Why?
right? So that is
Not
the
already?
question I am posing for the people.
Is it not already that?
Yeah.
Is,
Also, I have a. I don't know if it's just me, but
You think
like
people perceive it that way? That I'm
they
talking
don't.
about
You know what?
perception, not go
My
ahead.
bad. Go ahead, Riddle.
Oh, well, I was talking about perception. It's like we are dived into One Piece, but when people think about One Piece, they don't think of it as a Shakespeare, as an Odyssey type story, as a work of art. They think, oh, that's just some like kid's story or something like the person who knows nothing about manga and anime. The perception of Shakespeare, this perception of Odyssey, stuff like that, is just held in higher regard. So I'm just like, can we ever reach the point where the masses understand that this is one of the greatest works of fiction ever? Santo, you want to say something?
Oh no, Ty was going first.
No, I
Okay.
would just say the only reason is not because it's not a novel, which is so strange to me. Why certain types of stories are viewed with, I guess, seen as more intellectual, seen as more fancy. I'm like, bro, it's a book, bro. It's a story. It doesn't matter if it comes with pictures. It don't matter if it comes in a audio book. If it's a good story, it's a good story. It doesn't, to me, that the medium it comes in to me is not. And honestly, it's more impressive to me to create a picture book because you have to be a good artist and be a great writer. You're utilizing more skills to create this piece of work. So to me, I don't see any problem with most of our favorite mangas and anime being compared to these series or compared to some of these works. I'm like, why not?
I,
Like,
I, I, I'm with Ty. I think it's impressive because
Oh,
not just.
can you let Santo go because he said he wanted to go after
Oh, my
Ty
bad.
before you?
Sounds good.
It's just gonna be quick. I think I want to tackle the second part of your question. If it's ever going to be seen as that, I would say yes, because I think these novels or whatnot is it's. I think it's a generational thing. I think the an older generation did hold these novels, these works of literature at a very high place. As manga continues to grow in mainstream, especially here in the West, I think those views that manga is just a kid thing, it's not as fancy. It's not a great work of art like these literature books from history. I think that is going to slowly change moving forward.
I'm sorry. Let me say super quick, super quick. My bad, random. Also, kids' stories are some of the best written stories of all time. The fact that people think that if it's a kid's story, it's somehow devalued, bro. The fact that a kid's story like Avatar or SpongeBob, people 7 years old and 30 years old love those series. That's good writing, bro. Like, I don't care if it's a kid's story. If you go to a kid's story like Disney, Pixar, you'll find some of the most well characterized characters in fiction in those series. Like, bro.
I think when you look at it, it's like Santos said, it's a generation. I think once we start when we're in a position of power to really dictate what the zeitgeist and what people should watch and should see. Like once again, I said this a few weeks ago. More people want to watch Luffy find this mythical One Piece thing than want to learn about Jesus. Like I don't know what to tell you. Like it's the fact that people are going around and it's crossed, it's universal, it's everywhere. Whether or not it's people in the NFL doing it or somebody in an orchestra like wearing a straw hat. It's even in video games. Like God, in the Kingdom Come Deliverance thing, there's a straight up Luffy reference in there where the dude runs in and finds a straw hat, and he's like, "Oh!" And for some reason, I think this hat's really important. Like it's clear, it's something that's clearly reached something to the point where I can only use my family. Look, I'm not gonna say and pretend like my family in Africa. Sure, we have ways to consume media, but when they're like, "Yo, have you seen One Piece?" and I know that bro don't got a way to like, bro. I know you pay for extra minutes just so you could get on the internet to read the next One Piece chapter, and then he gets mad at me like, y'all, like, how are you not reading One Piece? Like that should tell you how powerful this media is, and it's going to get to a point where I think it's so successful that whoever's in charge saying that the Odyssey is something great, or Hamlet or Romeo and Juliet is this amazing thing. Like you can't turn your nose at it anymore. Millions now, probably billions of people are reading this thing. You have to at some point sit down, read it, and then if you're caught in the wave too, where you're sitting there watching Luffy trying to figure out what's going on, you're going to be part of it too, and you got to be able to talk about it. It's just too big now. It's reached too many different places for you to just turn your nose up at it like it's not important. That's
Mm.
just how I look at it.
Kent, we brought you back up. Did you want to say something?
No, not really, not based off of everything that's been talked about so far. Um, I'm just enjoying the show, man.
Hey man, appreciate you, my boy. Lonnie, you want to say something?
Just to add on, I do think it also like what Santo was saying, it is a generational thing. But like throughout literature history, they've all been all these artists. They're all novels. So I do feel like once this older generation leaves and like manga becomes more prevalent, that will it will be taken more seriously. Because I feel like One Piece as like a media power has only really been taken seriously by the world like the past 3 4 years. Before that it was just the best manga. Now I feel like it's getting that actual weight and motion that it actually deserves. And also I feel that it gets a knock because it's not from English society, it's from Asia and stuff like that. So I feel like that's another knock that it unfortunately gets. And I feel like the fact that it's not complete compared to some of these other series, that's another knock. So I feel like once One Piece is finally done, I think that's going to be another big boom for it because we all know how social media and how the society works. One Piece finishing is going to be one of the biggest moments of all our lives, and so it's going to bring in a whole another wave of fans to be like, "Oh, One Piece is done. Let me finally read it all the way through. Let me finally see what it's about." And I feel like at that moment when it's finally complete, that's probably going to rise it up into even more legitimacy. But until those things happen, it's still gonna have those knocks, unfortunately. I don't agree with them, but it's just how society works.
Yeah. A lot of you guys made a lot of great points. One Piece ultimately will have the stigma, which is unfortunate, but something to always look at when it comes to these situations is once it's past the generation that provided the stigma and it ages in the history books, how will it be perceived purely based off its merit and its achievements will speak for itself. Because Oda's already number 7, I think he was on the list. One Piece is not finished yet. He's only going to rise on that list. One Piece is One Piece compared to comics like Superman, Batman, it's rising on that list. One Piece, in terms of longevity and length, is unquestionable. So, in time, I think people are going to realize how great it is, but it also will. The idea of manga and anime in general is changing. Like it's now popular. Like some people used to get bullied back in the day because they used to watch anime and manga, depending on where you're from. Now it's like you're a cool kid if you watch anime. You're one of them ones if you locked in. So eventually it'll reach to the point where it's like, now this is a piece of art that you are consuming. So shout out Oda. Miles, you got
Hello.
anything to say?
I kind of shared most of my opinion on Sunday when we did our One Piece review. I'm gonna kind of be doom and gloom, unfortunately. Um, I think from a personal standpoint, it's like far surpassed those stories. Um, but just because of the medium, I don't think it'll ever get the proper respect it deserves. I just don't see it. Uh, Now we're talking thousands of years, like we live, like the timeline we're living, 4,000, possibly. But I just don't know. It would depend on the trajectory of the medium as a whole, and I'm just not confident in it yet.